All right. I gotta get on every day just to get through all this because the particles are accelerating. Energy is even more excessive. And you don't even know where you pick up the energy anymore because it just comes right into your house. Whether you have to invite it in because it's doing something, a service for you, or it's an energy that just is attached to you or someone that you know is out there that has to come home like every weekend, like my husband. Or it's something that just happens to float along through some jet stream, not literally like the jet stream up there, but some like strand of wind. I know you call it some flow of wind, strand of wind. I mean, we're going to have high winds today at some point. These demons of the past are going to be coming through and they're going to be attaching themselves to people. Some will fight them off and they don't know they're doing that because they sneeze or cough or they blow their nose. Other people will have something metastasize and burrow within them and turn into some entity that has to be scooped out. It's going to torture someone. I mean, I'm telling you, this is so freaking spiritual. It is so like, I don't even, when I say spiritual sounds like, religion. This is like, I don't even know how to explain this because I've never ever explored this side of the world. Okay, we're not doing this. We're not doing this oh hello shit. Sorry. But okay. I've never experienced this side of the world. Okay? I hear about it. I learn about it through somebody else's version of it, through religion, through spirituality, the energy healing world. I know there is a whole other side that why people do drugs. Why people go to ayahuasca retreats and play with their hormones. Why they do marijuana, cannabis. Why they get on crack cocaine, methamphetamines. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I mean, it's illegal and you shouldn't be doing that because it's illegal. However, I can understand physiologically why people do what they do because they're trying to escape the demons. But when you're trying to escape the demons, what are you running away from and what are you running to? Those are two sides of the same coin. I discovered that as a kid, didn't realize it. Luckily, things were pretty crazy back then. But today, if you were to run away from home today and you end up in the arms of some human trafficker, you're gone, you're disappeared. Either you're murdered or you're somewhere overseas. Now going to be somebody's, and that's insane. I am so glad back when I was dealing with the demons, that wasn't as prevalent. Because I can only imagine, even in the last 30 years of me meeting different people, anyone could be picked up off the street, kidnapped, and human trafficked. I mean, who's to say that couldn't have happened in my journey through life, given where I was traveling to all the time, different places by myself. I'll tell you, I was extremely lucky, like seriously lucky. And I don't even call it luck. I would call it that it wasn't meant for me to be human trafficked or pass away from some stupid situation. And so if you guys have survived near-death experiences, something's watching over you telling you it's not your time yet. That you have a lot more to accomplish. Okay? You have a lot more to accomplish. And so, and I'm sorry that I don't want people saying hi to me on this live stream. You can offer something as pertinent relative to this situation, but I get all these people from different countries coming in and saying, hello, hey, how are you? And trying to like just totally hijack the whole thing. So I'm not doing it. And so, yeah, we are fighting the demons of the past. Are the past. And so when, yes, oh God. When I was last night, after that, I was kind of like burrowing under my covers and just watching my little YouTube videos and trying to keep sound on because I really don't want to hear any noises downstairs. And I was awake really early this morning. I was really awake at 4. So I called my husband. He was already up working and stuff. I'm like, okay. I go back to sleep, turn on whatever, Netflix. And I go back to sleep and I have these crazy ass dreams of fighting some evil freaking thing that's eating my hand, like literally eating my hand and tickling me at the same time, like under my armpit, like my husband does sometimes when he's trying to mess with me. He's funny. He tries to be funny. But I also mess with him too. We mess with each other. But he likes to tickle me. But this is what this demon was doing, was tickling the fuck out of me. And I could feel it. And I was like, and I also see it eating my hand. And so I grabbed its face and then I woke up. It was just like that. And when I feel the heat, when I literally feel the heat in my body, like I was feeling the heat last night, the system wants to call it a diagnosable condition like menopause. The system diagnoses every single energy that comes in and out of your body because the people who develop the system of medical and holistic know they are the demons. And if people are not prepared to deal with the demons, they have to have medication. They have to be diagnosed. They won't know how to deal with these demons. They won't. Oh, I get it. That's the whole reason why they're putting out the cannabis CBD oil. Why Rick Simpson, he passed away. It's not been reported in mainstream. It's actually been actively covered up, but whatever at this point. But yeah, the CBD oil is going to help people not deal with the demons right off the bat. That when they see evidence of demons trying to grow, metastasize in different places, okay. But you know where you're going to end up. Rick Simpson has passed away. I'm not saying he died from the Phoenix tears. What I'm saying is he died the fact that he couldn't handle the demons that he was suppressing inside of his body. But if you have to go and do your job and you don't want to deal with the growth or you want to deal with nausea or deal with whatever it is that these CBD oils or any of these tinctures do, fine. But you'll know that you're going to have to deal with these demons at some point, and they will destroy you. If you keep taking anything that develops more demons to battle the demons, like antibiotics, like tinctures, like herbs and extracts, you'll be so overrun with demons and you will be usurped. You will be sucked dry. Okay? And so yeah, we are fighting the demons of the past. People are fighting the demons in their body. Last night I was fighting the fucking demon. Because it was so crazy. When I looked at the refrigerator last night, and I used to see 333, and my husband programmed it that way after we finally defrosted it and it worked again. And so he wants to be 3 degrees in the freezer and 33 degrees for the refrigerator. Just above freezing, which is fine. Okay, so I always see 333 and whatever. And then I also see a 1333. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm trying to change it, like press it to go down from 13 to 3, and it wouldn't, and it went right back to 13. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna mess with it because last time there was all this ice that was forming in the back of in the refrigerator, in the back of it, around whatever that device was in the back. I don't even know the parts of it, and I looked back there and there was no ice forming. So I'm like, okay, are we going to go through this again where we're going to see it go haywire, go up and down and up and down? One day it's 66, one day it's 65. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. And so I remember when we were going through that process, buying the new refrigerator, I was taking everything out, put it in there. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this again. This is going to happen every so often. And so I just said, whatever. So then I come back downstairs again, and it's back down to 3 and 3 and 3. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. Who knows? But when I did see that, I did feel a feeling. I felt a feeling of like warmth. And that's okay. So now I can say for a fact, you can characterize it however you want to. I could say for a fact that every single warm feeling, every single feeling you have when you're coughing, sneezing, blowing your nose, or when you're feeling anything in your body, you are fighting demons in your body. You're fighting spiritual demons that commandeer different proteins, and they do hold court in the body. They can also give you the talents, the intelligence, the anger, all the hormones, the love and the hate, the anxiety, the depression, the cancer, disease, and chronic illness, the ability to evolve, or the ability to devolve. I mean, that's the thing. You have to understand how to deal with the demons in your body. And what people do when they don't know how to deal with demons in their body is the only thing they can do is just stop the energy because they don't understand it, or told by the surgical system to cut out the energy. Is that for me to say that they shouldn't do that? Well, you haven't been trained in how to deal with the demons in the world. I mean, when you think about it, when you think about what demons are, you are a demon on some level. You could be a great demon. Okay, it's all relative to perspective, because what do demons are? They're offspring from two entities reproducing a chemical reaction. Here's an offspring. Here's a new version of these 2, 3, 4, 5 chemical reactions. Right now, we're working with the whole binary system. But what you find out from biotech is that you can develop a demon or an offspring with more than just a binary system. You can have 5 people involved with as far as their DNA. 6 people, 10 people, whatever. Sky's the fucking limit. But in order to develop a foundation to work from, there's got to be some kind of order. There's 1, and there's 2, and then there's 3, and then 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, 8. That's why there's a number system to give you that order of operations. This is where you start from. You know, you have the and I'm not saying that the world started from singularity, because it's either you're here or you're not here. Because even where did that single cell come from? It had to come from somewhere else. And so it's not singularity. The world and the whole universe and nature and whatever didn't start from a single cell. It started from it was already here. Where it came from, who the hell knows? It doesn't even matter at this point. But the whole number system is just to give intelligent humans a logical place to work from. Because even the J world is a start of something new. The number 13 doesn't have to be something bad. Because if you look at number 13 as something like just a death, like an all-out death, then yeah, I could see why you think it'd be bad, because it means a death of a whole person, a death of a whole culture. If a whole culture is just genocided. But really, the 13 means it's being uncured. You're uncured. It means that the death of the old way and then the birth of a new way doesn't mean you have to die. It just means you're taking on a new way of doing things, a rebirth. And I'm telling you, this whole last couple weeks has been fucking crazy. I mean, with the amount of energy, waking up at 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, having to cough, sneeze, and blow my nose, feeling the heat, sometimes I have to take a nap, with all the different awarenesses, even going back into some aspects of like what I experienced even back in the 90s, and some aspects of the childhood stuff. And it's like vivid memories. It's not like, because it's not like vivid memories. I mean, it's not like, it's vivid memories. It's not like it's like cloudy or I'm resisting it. I remember when when I was trying to become a farmer's agent, and for me to get the FINRA license, they do a background check. But they don't tell you that even your juvenile records, and the only thing that I have in my juvenile is just shoplifting a pair of pants from Sun Valley Mall because I ran away from home and and I needed something to wear besides the dress I was wearing. And so I was with a bunch of people and we all shoplifted, and that's why we end up in juvenile hall. Okay, fine. But I didn't realize that FINRA, the FCC, they don't just look at your adult records, which I have no adult criminal record. I only have a juvenile record for shoplifting and running away. They went back, all the way back to my fucking childhood records. And Farmers Insurance now knows my childhood past. They know it. My DM gave me my records. Here, this is what they found. That's why you can't have an FCC license. I'm like, okay, fine. My childhood actually, my juvenile records stopped me from becoming an agent. When I read whatever I was back then, when I read that, I fucking burst into tears. It was insane. I couldn't believe that that's where I mean, back in 2008, when I'm just stuffing my past, and that's all been buried under experiences and alcohol and drugs and whatever else I was doing. I mean, I wasn't doing so many drugs, but like, pot and whatever else. You're not ready to face your past, and you're trying to move forward, right? And when you're trying to move forward in 2008, and now your records are coming to surface, and it's just like, this is what I was doing. And I was just mortified. I was like, fuck. And now people at Farmers Insurance knows this. I'm like, okay, whatever. I understand. I fucking get it. It's probably, you're not probably qualified to be anything as far as financials, because you definitely have an interesting past, Jillian. We don't need criminals from juvenile, even juvenile, because that could be a propensity for something. And I get it. But it was like, whoa, in your face. But see, I couldn't talk back then. I was just like, fuck. Like, I tried to burn them, or I ripped them up or something. I don't know what I did with them, but they're gone. But that was like, okay, that was a trauma, a revision of a trauma that was just like, fuck. And so some people have those kind of pasts, and they can't move forward because of whatever programming that was done to them in their childhood, whatever they dealt with their parents, who may have been, you know, just horrible to them. And so they did stupid shit in their childhood. And you think that those records are sealed. Oh, you think they were, that they say that they're sealed, but not really, because even if you try to get into a job and you're trying to move forward and the past is the past, the certain agencies will look at everything. So there's some things that you won't be able to qualify for because of the kind of innovation that you underwent. And you could say abuse is innovation. Yeah, because when you think about where do parents learn this stuff from, they learn from the system. The system taught them how to deal with child rearing. Okay? And so, but it's not the end of the world. That's the thing that people have to understand that's out there, that people who are dealing with some childhood bullshit and they're trying to figure out how to move forward, and either their parents put them on drugs, or they did this or they did that, and now they're trying to move forward. And I can tell you, you can redirect. If there's certain things that are like record for the police and all that stuff, well, that's your permanent record. You'll find a way to use that as a leverage for yourself. Okay? And so it's not the end of the world. But that's the thing. And so that's when then this last couple days, I was going through and looking at all the things that I experienced, you know, in San Jose, California, and understanding, you know, just where these gangs came from. Like, shit. I mean, when your parents, like when my parents are part of a whole generation, whether it's a silent generation of baby boomers, developing an infrastructure of psychological engineering, social engineering, biochemical engineering, just engineering, and then your own kid, you know, that's rebelling against one way of innovation, of highly academic, to then going to go across the railroad tracks to go hang out with go hang out with people that are like gangs. They're like, what the fuck? Well, you gave us that dichotomy. You guys developed all of that stuff in the 1960s. All the social upheaval. You know, the Black Panthers, and then the Weather Underground, and then you have the stuff going on with the Crips and the Bloods, and then you have the Norteños and Serreños, and then it becomes this whole culture that it just permeates everything, and then you have to be careful where you go. You have to understand the culture. And it was like, and so these kids are like, these kids are kids of people who were in those crazy days and were taught things that then they go into like juvenile hall and California Youth Authority and all these different systems. And so you see the prison system so full of people who've been experimented upon by those that were socially engineering people in fucking California. That's why I had to get out of California, because that place was going to fucking kill me. It was either all the cannabis that was everywhere, or you had all the different religions everywhere. And you had people who were, some people were criminal and suffering, and they were probably part of all the crazy experiments. I'm telling you, California was going to fucking kill me. So, but when you're running away from something, you have to figure out that you're running to something else that's also been permeated, maybe not as bad, but you have to figure out, okay, now at some point you're going to settle down and face your demons. But I wasn't going to face my fucking demons in California. There's no fucking way, because when you're surrounded by everyone that knows you or is part of that social engineering that's been tainted by all of that San Francisco Bay Area 1960 stuff that just keeps reproducing itself and mutating and evolving and mutating, you can't get ahead. And then you have your own issues to deal with as far as physical stuff. Now you got to go to a different pond. That's where I ended up in Ohio, because I tried the pond in Hawaii, tried the pond in Washington, the pond in Mississippi. And I'm like, yeah, so I'm not going to the pond in New York because that's too expensive. So Ohio was, I guess it was the best place to be. to start over again. Like literally start over again with whatever knowledge I took from me. And so, so that right there, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, that could be some, like the story of my life could be a movie out there. But see, when we watch movies, we think they're like make-believe and all that. And that was for such a long time that we watch these movies and we're like, oh, it's just make-believe. No, it's reality, but it's trying to transition you to show you that at some point you're going to see now reality shows like Paris Hilton or The Real Housewives or, you know, MTV, what is it? The something house, where you bring all different people together from different walks of life and they're all merging together and how they react to each other. Those, that. And so, and so what you were seeing is then what we thought was make-believe is now finally, when you're looking at reality of people today, who they are today, in all the spirit realm, and all the horror movies, and everything that you thought was make-believe on Netflix or on, you know, TV, now you're seeing in people's lives, and you look at Facebook Reels, you're watching their videos, and you're realizing there's a whole lot more than what you've been told by your parents, by your teachers, by even your government. There's a whole lot more. And are you prepared to deal with other realities? Like, are you prepared to deal with diversity? People who live in a homogenized world, like in Ohio, have never been really exposed to like California types, because the ones that were kind of California types that were alternative lifestyles, they left Ohio and they went over to freaking California so they can be, you know, who they are. Okay, some, you know, can assimilate, but if you're very flamboyant, especially here in Ohio, it's very conservative here. So you wouldn't survive here if you're that flamboyant, if you were of an alternative lifestyle or LGBTQ. So you go to California, New York, or go to the major metropolitan areas where you can kind of assimilate, fit in, versus standing out in a small town. And I knew I stood out here, but wow. And so, yeah, so now we know, that Mr. Phoenix Tears, he's passed away, wasn't really put out there. No one really knows about this. They even did a lot to cover it up and make it seem like he's still alive when he's not. Okay, but that's just part of the whole marketing and public relations. And so whatever, but that's the thing. When you're developing a culture, whether it's the jazz culture from the reefers, right? From all the pot. And I was watching something, I forget. Oh, that's right. Back to the Future. I was watching Back to the Future, and I remember somebody was saying in that movie, one of Biff's buddies, when that guy was the musicians that were playing at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance when Marty was trying to get his parents to kiss, and then he was locked into the trunk of the car, and the musicians came out of the car and said, hey, because that's what the Biff's buddies put Marty into the car. And they're like, hey, and they were about to go in a fight. And one of the Biff's guys said, hey, we don't want any part of that reefer man. And so that's back in the 1950s, right? Reefer man. So they called the black culture reefer people, reefer, because the musicians, right? The pot was everything. That's what developed the culture of music and artists and all of that, all the drug experimentation. Holy crap. And so now it's permeated everything. Now marijuana is everywhere. But it's not just for developing and innovation. Now it's just dealing with the demons that were developed the last 50 freaking years. So what is it called? The hair of the dog? I guess. Right? When someone has a hangover, and so they're like, hey, well, why don't you drink the hair that bit the dog or whatever, right? Because to get over your hangover, to get over the demons, so you drink the same stuff to appease the demons. I never did the hair bit dog. Well, maybe I did, I don't know. But I don't drink anymore. I don't do any drugs, no drinking, no nothing. Because in this environment, any little bit will be so sensitive. Your demons, everything will be attracted to you. And it'll be harder. It'll be very difficult to release those demons. And it won't be difficult, but it'll be like, holy shit. It'll be an experience. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. I feel enough being sober to me to go on to do any drugs or alcohol at this point would be like, whoa, it'd be a trip. But wow. And so, have you ever thought of reality shows where the transition to social media reality shows? Some are staged, some are someone's experiences, others are critiquing others' experiences. Art imitates life, life imitates art. It was like the movies where the soft transition to the reality of the world you live in, and if you were to really see the reality, it would be devastating. So a cinematic transition was necessary. But even stage experiences are somebody else's rendition of an observed experience, even if it's not their own. And so, yeah, we have a lot of, a lot of people who will imitate other people and maybe not imitate them correctly all the way, or they'll add their spin to it. And so, yeah, I was watching Back to the Future with my husband. We were both watching it the other day. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, I forget. But maybe it was yesterday. But yeah, maybe you all are past clones of future complications made to correct past mistakes. Okay, so maybe you're past clones. All of you have been reproduced by parents from way a long time ago, and you're just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And so you're past clones of future mistakes, because yes, you're going to be a mistake. If you plan to pass away, I'm not saying that you're a mistake, but obviously you're not going to do anything to keep yourself alive. You'll make the same mistakes as your parents, but aside from those mistakes, you'll also contribute a job or something that you're doing for society. But it's still a mistake because you're not staying alive. But why would that be a mistake? Because when you violate life and you say you want to live and you love life, but then you're violating the laws of life, is that a mistake? Because you say, well, I want to live. People say, I want to live, but they're doing things to then cut down their life span. But see, the thing is they don't know. But see, that's what I'm saying. If you don't know how long you're going to live, then why would you trust a doctor or a nurse or anyone say, well, here, take this drug, here, take this surgery. It's going to prolong your life. Oh, yeah, this pain means you're going to die someday. See, if you don't know when you're going to pass away, why would you trust somebody in the medical system to say this is going to give you longevity? Because maybe it won't. There's no guarantee. It's all practicing medicine. So that's the thing, is that maybe you all are past clones of future complications or mistakes made to correct past mistakes. So future complications, yes, you're going to be a complication. You're going to have complications. You're going to get your surgery. It's going to have complications. You're going to be continuously going for therapy all the time. Okay? So maybe you all are past clones of future complications made to correct past mistakes. And so the whole J world is saying, okay, let's put your money where your mouth is. Let's align your belief system, your thought process with your body, mind, and spirit, and what you say, and let's explore the other meaning of energy in your body. Yes, there are demons out there. They don't have to take over and destroy you, but you're going to have to battle them. And that's what I did last night in the middle of the night when that little thing was eating my freaking hand. And that's why my left arm was like sore. I'm sure there's something because this is not as throbbing as it was last night, but last night it was throbbing. And then my left arm was sore. And I'm saying that my dog was like a demon. She left her mark. This would be like the mark of the beast when you think about it. Okay? Because it's not going away. Maybe it will go away when the environment is calmer, but at this point, this is my dog. This is my dog talking to me at this point. And I have a scar up here and I have a scar on my leg over here. And they're not as deep as the one here. Because this was when I was when she was on my bed and she had to change position, but she went really, she jerked like really hard, and her toenail just caught me right there, and I'm just like, fuck. So yeah. And so when her oxytocin, when she released a lot of like the diarrhea just from because she had to get releasing her anal glands and stuff, people were like freaking out over that, but I understand. And she released a lot of yellow liquid, like a lot. A lot of that was built up for so many years. And that was the programming. And that was probably all the oxytocin. And she had to go in, and for her to actually survive, she would have to deal with that whole process of filling up those holes that were in her body. And oh my God. No. So all the oxytocin was gone. So then was left was the demon. And that's the thing that's why with animals, they can be great on one end. They're very black and white. They're cute and they're cuddly and they're all over the place and they're like, they bring up all this stuff. But then when they start deteriorating, you're really going to have to be in a more of a stable environment to help them build up a transition from the old world to the new world. And some animals don't have that because of the trauma. They don't have the ability to transition. They don't have enough substance and enough patience because the humans are so used to an animal being one way, and when the animal changes, it's like they don't have what it takes to be with that animal all the time and deal with all the changes, or there's enough people around to understand how that works. And so then that's when people have to go and take their animal and put them down or put them on drugs until the animal can't, survive that anymore. So that was like, oh God. But yeah, that's the demons. Those are the demons when it doesn't have the balance of life. It doesn't have the balance of the oxytocin, the love, the respect, the life, the energy. And so you now have to be the one to balance out your body, mind, and spirit so that way you can fight off the fucking demons. And again, they could be little orbs that are floating around you. They could be the energy that you feel when you walk into the room after my husband says that he saw something or he felt something, or he heard something slam so hard. And he's like, look my freaking, tell me like his hairs on his arm are on end and I'm feeling something, I'm feeling far away. And I even felt that floaty feeling too last night. So when people get lobotomized, okay, you've heard about, and you hear about Over the Rainbow and Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and people are feeling like they're over the rainbow, and you've maybe read that in some of the conspiracy rabbit holes. Well, yeah, when you're getting a lot of electricity, when you're in a lot of electricity, it's almost like a lobotomy, like the spirit within you is being irritated by the energy. And maybe there's chakras that are opening up, of which another spirit can come in and try to take over. And so that's the thing, that's what cancer disease and chronic illness is. The spirit already came in and metastasized. Now it's you and the spirit. And it looks like when people die, the spirit has basically won. But when you're not like close to death and you're around a lot of electricity, which a lot of people, or you're like my husband when he was playing with electricity and playing with the lights and switching them around, you'll feel the energy. Even with these energy frequencies, you feel it. You hear like the stuff in the ear, or like I felt drunk a couple weeks ago, like literally drunk, like I was taken over by a spirit, laughing spirit, and it made me laugh. Or I felt like a couple years ago, I almost fell down the stairs because I felt so lightheaded because of a frequency change. Or I felt so dizzy getting up off the couch, even like last year at some point. The last 3 years, I remember 3 different instances where the energy was so insane. I felt so dizzy and I was crawling up the stairs. My dog was having issues and there was frequency changes. I was crawling, helping her go someplace or helping her do something. And I was crawling on the floor because I felt so dizzy. I'm telling you, that's the spirit realm. That's when your equilibrium, all these things that was holding you stable is becoming unstable. And either you're going to allow this thing to stay in your body. And so when you don't feel that dizziness anymore and you haven't released the demons, really, you haven't pooped, you haven't really had any kind of like disease yet or manifestation like a breakout, like a hives or something, that thing is metastasized. That thing is finding a place in the body to go and figure out where to find it home. And then people get diagnosable conditions. Then they start feeling stuff. They feel pains. They feel aches. They have weird dreams. Personality changes. Oh yeah, this is fucking spiritual. And so when I felt that spirit in the kitchen, after my husband said that he heard that thing, whatever, slam the cabinet, right afterwards, after feeling that feeling of far away floatiness, then I had to go and release that demon. I had to literally, like even this morning, I had to release a bunch of demon stuff. Okay? And that's what I'm saying. It's so important to open up your system. Like your poop holds so many entities. It's not just a parasite. It's not just a candida fungus. It's not just like, a virus or a parasite or a protozoa or some crazy protein or bacteria. Okay? It's not everything that they say in the medical world. It's not just that. These are actual entities that are intelligent. And yeah. And so Hollywood knows this. They know how to conjure up spirits and demons and all that stuff. There are so many ritualistic things that happen in Hollywood. And they develop stars. And now some of Hollywood, like Marky Mark or Mark Wahlberg, he's retiring from Hollywood. People are moving away from Hollywood. He was actually over here in Akron, Ohio, over at the Giant Eagle, promoting Wahlburgers. Okay? They're just regular people, but they were given gifts. But as you can see, even though he has a nice body with big muscles, he is deteriorating. He's aging out. Okay? And so even Hollywood, they have their contracts of you'll do this and this and this, and then once everything is this, and they know they've been kind of told sort of what's going on. And then after your career is done with filming, now you can go promote a product because now you have a following, just like Rick Simpson. That's why they call it the Rick Simpson tears or whatever, or RSO, Rick Simpson oil, because he's the face of the CBD oil. He's had such a following for such a long time because the holistic people are going up against the chemotherapy. And so if you deal with cannabis and CBD oil, well, that was then the natural progression. The hair that bit the dog, because people that are doing so much CBD or cannabis, they have been innovated like you would not believe from the 1960s, 1950s. You think about people who are baby boomers, okay, and even Gen X. I mean, my parents, born back in the 1940s. Some people's parents are born back in the 1950s, 1960s, 1950s. Well, Rick Simpson's 66 years old. But yeah, or in the 1930s. I mean, that's a long-ass time when you think about it, but not really. I mean, Marty McFly it would have been 1993 if Marty McFly was alive today, going back in time. So when you think about 1985, going back to 1955, 30 years, give or take, 30 years. That's not a long time, 30 years. Shit, 1993 was like yesterday for me when you think about it. So you go back to 1985, and my parents are watching this going like, yeah, they're reliving their childhood, right? In 1985, as I'm reliving my childhood in 2023. Okay, so when you're 50 or 49, the programming does wear off. And then you're left with the reality. You're not under the spells or the curses. I mean, you are, but when you're still under the spell and the curses and the gifts. But now they're going to torture the fuck out of you. That's what's going on right now. People are getting tortured from all the curses, the spells, and the gifts. But they wouldn't call it torture. They would call it a health condition. And they're under the influence because they don't want to face the past. They don't want to face that they are the future complications to correct past mistakes. They are the clones of the past, made to do a job. And so yeah, I was doing some research where the Cholos got their culture from. Because why did they adopt the 1950s oldies? Because that's really what was so popular in San Jose, California, was the old cars, the nice cars that were souped up where they had hydraulics, and they were playing a lot of oldies music. And it was the Chicano culture was just, I even was a hair bearer in junior high. Was the hair bearer here? Because we had a few, Chicanas in our class, but yeah, you're ratting your hair up, then it's all like, whew. But that was huge. Or it was like the Aquanet, and then you had the big bouffant in the front. I mean, I'll tell you, there was a lot of that culture was all over junior high and high school, and cruising the El Camino, and doing that. Remember that King and Story? That was all the gang stuff. That came from because of the juvenile hall and then the alternative schools that I went to. And then, yeah. And how do you know King and Story? See, it's like, because it wasn't from junior high. You wouldn't hear about King and Story in junior high. Even in high school, I wasn't, because it was all I came from upper, so yeah, it came from all the juvenile bullshit. So yeah, the East San Jose was huge. East San Jose back then was a place where a lot of gang stuff, a lot of crap. It was crazy. They turned that place around. Holy shit. And then, yeah, cruising El Camino in the 90s. And so, yeah, it was going back into time, unlocking all the memories of the past. And they weren't like bad. It was just that, yeah, when you can imagine what Manson went through. Now, I'm sure Manson, with all the reformatory schools that he went through, and they were doing some pretty bad stuff, because you think about the nuns that were thrashing people, and you hear about that stuff. I mean, I had my ass kicked one time in a shelter. Was it Lionsgate shelter? Oh my God. I got my ass kicked once by a bunch of girls because I was really cute. But that was it. But when I was in juvenile hall, I was in the girls part for just a second, and they put me in the co-ed unit. And so I was with a bunch of, guys and girls in a co-ed unit. But you hear about everything about the streets, And then I went to another 30-day girl center, which was like a reformatory, but it was like all lockup, but it was for girls, and it was a girl center. So it was a transition to get into another group home. And then in the group homes, then you're dealing with crazy girls in the group homes. And then you go to an alternative school. Then you're dealing with it was crazy after crazy after crazy after crazy. So yeah, when you're doing crazy after crazy, then you become tough, okay? And you don't take too much shit. But it never broke me to where I would want to hurt somebody else. I never was broken down to a point of wanting to hurt anyone else. Some people are broken down to a point where they do want to hurt other people. That's what's crazy out there, is that some people can be broken to that point. Luckily, I was not ever broken to that point, because I had the ability to live. I had the respect for life. I had the respect for my body on some level. And so I never ended up going down some roads some people went down, even amidst all that, because I was just a runaway from fucking Saratoga. That's all it was just runaway. And I shopped with a pair of pants. I wasn't really a criminal at heart. I was raised with academics. Okay. But the system was like, well, what the hell are you going to do with this girl? She's 15. She's out of control. She's going to hang out at her friends' houses because she's running away to people's houses, but they can't harbor a runaway. So they had to give me back to the system. I wasn't going to go home. So what do? So you have to go to a group home, and then you have to go through all that, and then figure out how to pick up your life from that. And that's the thing, is that that's what had to happen back in the 60s, the 70s, 80s. I feel bad for the kids that gone through that and they never can get ahead. I feel so bad for them. They haven't found a way to get ahead. But I'll tell you, I mean, oh my God. I mean, I want to cry right now, because it was a painful time. It really fucking was. But you have to face that. You got to face it, because if you don't face it, it'll turn into a demon. It'll turn into a monster that will consume you. And people have allowed those demons to consume them. And so they turn to alcohol, they turn to drugs, they turn to self-harm, because they don't know how to face those demons. They run away to something that will even destroy them. And I'll tell you, man, some people are lost in that. But when you have the will to survive, and you know that something is harming you, get the fuck away from it. Or you fight it. But you don't fight it in a way where you harm somebody else. You fight it logically. You fight it intellectually. You fight it in a way that's going to make you stronger. And if you're cornered, then you defend yourself, but you don't go and offend somebody else. You don't go and commit any crimes against somebody else, but you then start developing your brain. And so that's, I think, where the programming came from, where, yeah, you don't leave marks on the kid way back in the 80s. Yeah, you don't leave marks on a kid, but you get them to figure out that you have to expand their capacity, and you ply them with academics. Because I was having to do 13 book reports in one summer while my sister was going to go play in the pool, and I had to go and do 13 book reports in one summer. I had to read books and write a whole freaking book report on it. Read this book, write a book report. Read this book, and then do lines after lines after lines. Remember the I will not do this again. Okay, so when you have that much academic crammed down your throat, and then psychologically you're being innovative, okay, with a few physical stuff, then you can see the shaping of a human, the strength, the shaping of the human. And then when you run away from that and you end up in somewhere where other people have been damaged or been innovative into gang culture, into over across the railroad tracks, okay, and there's like pot and there's marijuana everywhere, that's when you're like, fuck. So where does a person go? There's nowhere to run to. And you really can't deal with yourself because you don't know how to deal with yourself. So you have to survive both those worlds, this side of the railroad tracks and that side of the railroad tracks. How the fuck do you do that? And so you just survive. You survive. Because eventually down the road, those survival instincts are going to take hold, and you'll be able to get yourself out of situations that are so dangerous because you won't know. When you're young, you're stupid. You'll go and do stupid shit. You'll get yourself into situations that you're like, holy crap, that you hope that when you learn from it, you don't die from it. Okay? And so all of those experiences helped me experience the world without dying from experience. Because I'm telling you, when you experience the world out there and it's not always safe, people could kidnap you, they could kill you, they could do all this stuff. But I experienced the world without dying from it and took on the information, the innovation, understood the culture, understood people, had it as a memory locked somewhere that eventually what I would unlock and use to my advantage. And so that's where the whole J world came today, was from all of that. And so when I'm releasing the demons and battling the internal demons and evolving to this new climate change called the New World Order, you can't really get mad at the past because that past developed then this whole J world, this whole understanding that milk is necessary, understanding the salt and water isn't poison, that you need food, you can't starve yourself. And there's a lot more going on as far as the spirit world that people really want to face. And so that's fine. If you have to be cured and under the influence so you don't face those demons, do what you got to do. I completely fucking understand. Because the past is so insane for some people. Shit, just what I've dealt with as a child and young adult, well, mostly as a child. I can't imagine with people who've had issues just even in their young adulthood, okay, or even as children, and they weren't equipped to handle it and survive it, and then find a way to get through it without destroying themselves or other people. Okay, so if the system has to drug everybody out so they don't have their demons go and destroy the people because they're remembering and locking things, fine. You know what? That's fine. I'll be happy to stay home and stay safe. I'm not going to wear a mask. But I understand now, with all this instability, people's demons are coming out. They're coming out like you would not believe. And some people are hurting each other because they can't deal with the demons that are in their past. And so what I'm saying is find a way to bring in more salt in your diet. Understand, where my book is coming from. You need milk. You need to blow your nose. Okay? But cream all the foods in the food supply, if it's something that it makes you intolerant a little bit, like a lot of mucus, and maybe you might get some anaphylactic, and everything's a slow process. But wow. But I understand now from a different perspective. And so, but I have to go and uncover it and know that I'm not crazy. That my gut feeling I know exactly why the system hides things, why the system doesn't readily just confront certain things, because it would be obviously hurting the bottom line. People be like, making correlation equals causation, but also some of the past stuff is so traumatic that not everyone will survive remembering the traumas. And so, and I'd rather you guys not re-traumatize yourself. I don't go watch any more of the 48 Hours Hard Evidence. I don't watch any of the murder shows on my YouTube. You know what I watch? I watch news, okay? I watch stuff like celebrity bullshit, gossip shit. I watch stuff about the past, like, biographies of people, or about the economy, or about this Great Reset. But I don't go and traumatize myself watching somebody's death or watching how somebody died, them describing bit by bit, like in 48 Hours Hard Evidence or any of those other murder shows. Because I'm not about to die. I'm not in the death process watching and getting off on death. Now I'm just trying to survive the current situation. So even even when you release the demons, even today, right now, I'm seeing even a change in what I entertain my mind with. But I have to face the demons. Because if I don't face the demons will run me and tell me to watch murder shows, tell me to watch things that will help me self-destruct. And I'm not doing that. I'm not going to help myself self-destruct. I'm going to understand the world that I live in today, look for the indicators, understand the climate change stuff, understand what's going on, and find a way to survive it. But I'm not about going back into regression, going into the death process. And so that's the thing so yeah, I mean, oh God. Oh man. And so, yeah, it's in my opinion, if you can, face your demons. If you cannot face your demons, if it's really that bad, I understand you have to be under the influence. I understand you have to be drugged out. I completely get it. You have to be distracted. But I can face the demons, and this is my way of doing it. There's no secrets in my world, really. There are no secrets. I'm transparent. I don't even want to respond to people even giving me props in the email. But I did it publicly on my Facebook, saying thanks to James. I mean, even though he said in this last part of the email that, oh, you're beautiful, you're cute. Well, I appreciate that, but I don't need that kind of accolades. I'm glad that your back feels a bit better doing the J-Juice. Okay. But again, the J-Juice will either bring up stuff or it can help people with their transition into whatever it is they're going into. I can't assume they want to live indefinitely, and I can't assume they want to die. So if something helps you transition to whatever destination you're going to, fucking A. If cannabis helps you transition to wherever you're going, whether it's death or life or afterlife or whatever, fine, fucking A. But the J world is another choice for people to have. But it's a hard fucking road. It's a hard road because you will have to face demons in body, in mind, and in spirit. And not everyone's going to do it as publicly as I am. Some of you will do it privately, and that's fine. But it's still, you got to get those demons out. In whatever shape, form, or whatever, you got to get those demons out. Because they will destroy you. All right? And so, no secrets, guys. Even if you have to write it out somewhere and then throw out the pages. But get it out. All right. Bye.